Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, in this episode, we are going to look at something really cool by HGLRC. Now, over here, I have Mario Kart, and this is FPV Mario Kart. There's a little camera up top here. You can put goggles on, drive it around your house. It's pretty cool. Now, over here is a Kart. It's a drone, but it's a Kart. So HGLRC modeled this drone called the KT20 pusher drone off of Mario Kart, or a kart type racing scheme. They expected that multiple people would buy these and then race them together. Now, if you're new to the FPV hobby and you don't know what a pusher drone is simply a hovercraft. Yes, so you're probably familiar with a normal drone. A normal drone sits like this. The props are on top of the motor. You see I have the motors below the props right now, and it flies by sucking all the air through the props onto the ground. A pusher drone reverses the motor so the motors are facing the ground with the props like this and pushes the air down. It's more efficient for flying low to the ground and flying on a bed of air. So when you see videos of drones flying low to the ground and going in and out of things very low to the ground, like in buildings or outside buildings, it's usually a pusher drone that's being used. The only negative with a pusher drone is the sound. They all sound like somebody took a vacuum cleaner or a blow dryer, stuck it right next to your ear. This little guy is very loud, but I'm going to tell you the following, and I don't say this for a lot of drones. This one surprised me in a way that it's probably one of my favorite drones now. I took this outside to fly and I was like, wow, that is really good. I was totally blown away because I didn't expect the performance that this drone gave. And I flew it indoors and it flies really well indoors as well. Now this drone does come in analog. I have the analog version and digital. Digital just means the camera up front is digital and you have to wear the DJI FPV goggles. If you get the analog version, you can use any goggles on the market that are analog. Now what I'm going to do is, as I keep talking here, before I show you some flight footage, is I'm going to put the specs up here for the analog and digital version. They're almost identical, a few small differences, but the specs are there. Check it out as I keep talking. Now when I flew this outside, I only flew it with, let me grab the battery over here, with a little 450 milliamp hour LiPo battery. And I thought, I'm going to get 1 minute of flight time because I have a camera on the front, a lot of weight. I was getting like a lot of minutes of flight time. I was waiting for the battery to die and it went for a long time. Then I flew it indoors, and indoors I put a 550 milliamp hour LiPo 4-cell battery. And again, it just flew and flew and flew. I was doing all sorts of video on the same battery, taking different angles, everything. It was amazing. The flight time on this is really good. It is said in the specifications that if you put something like a 750 battery on it, you'll get 8 minutes of flight time. Even if you add a camera on it, you're still going to get a long flight time. It's very powerful. Now, speaking of cameras, I goofed up. So I have this little CAT Peanut. I use it every now and then in some videos. It's sort of like an Insta360 go-to. And I stuck that on it because I hadn't used it for a long time. I thought, I'll use that. It's usually a really good camera, except when I put it on the mount up front here, the camera did not stay securely inside. It was literally falling out. I did not lock it in place. Like, there's no real way to lock it in place. The way it normally locks is that the tighter you bind the screw that goes through to hold the mount on, then binds and holds the camera on. In my case, that did not happen, so my outdoor video looks like this. You ready? It looks like Jello in it, but I'm going to show it to you anyways. But my indoor video, I use this camera. This is just an Insta360 Go, you know, the very first one, very inexpensive. And I flew around indoors, and it's much better because the camera is securely locked in place. It's not jiggling all over the place. Now, as already mentioned, I have the analog version. A lot of times companies will send me a digital version because they want everybody to buy the digital version. But I've got the analog version, and I will tell you that it's just as good as a digital version for the image back through your goggles. Speaking of goggles, I had to use my Fat Sharks because it is analog, so you can use any analog goggles on the market. And I used my new Radiomaster Zorro radio to connect to this. I asked them when they sent it to me just to put an XM Plus, FrSky XM Plus receiver in it. So I connected nicely this to that and flew it around, no problem. So I am going to show you some video footage from this, and before I show you that, let me just say that the build quality is really good on this. You have a choice of your colors too. I put some yellow bumpers on it, some blue bumpers, because if you're going to fly it indoors, you're going to bang into your walls. Like I'm showing you here, I'm banging into the walls on purpose just to show you you can do that. You won't mark up your walls because that's the biggest thing when you fly indoors. You don't want to mark up the walls. So it's designed for that. And the color scheme, like I said, when you buy it, you get yellow and blue, so you can mix and match them or just put it all yellow or all blue. When I flew it outdoors, I put some tape on the bottom here because the electronics are sitting right there, and landing in snow is not good for electronics. So this little piece of tape made it perfect for flying in the wintertime. Build quality is a mix of like a polycarbonate plastic, very, very strong, very, very strong, and carbon fiber. So for the size, I do not believe you can break this. I don't think it's breakable. It's just that perfect size that, yeah, I don't think you can break it in any way, shape, or form. Even if you flew it into concrete, I don't think you could break it, but I'm sure someone's going to prove me wrong. And finally, the props on here are 2-inch Emax props. They're using props from Emax, which is pretty cool because Emax makes really efficient propellers for their small drones. That's how their drones get a lot of oomph when they fly. And finally, for whatever battery you want to get to put on here, it's an XT30 battery connector at the back. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some video of me flying indoors and outdoors. So first we'll start off with indoors and then we'll switch over to outdoors. So check this out. I'm going to try this indoor flight with a 550 milliamp hour LiPo battery. This is 4-cell. Next thing I want to do is, since I'm flying indoors, I want to make sure the camera is not pointing up at all. I'm going to try to bring it down. I might get some of the frame in the shot when I'm flying, but that's good. And the same as my little camera mount up top. Now, if you're wondering why I bring the camera pointing more straight forward, it's because it allows you to fly slower. If the camera looks up, your head will look up and you'll tilt the drone more forward to look up, and then you'll fly faster. That's not what I want to do in a tiny house. So for this flight, I'm just using an Insta360 Go. This is the original. It doesn't weigh very much, this camera, so this is perfect for this flight. And I've got a little bit heavier battery on it, so it should be good. Plug this in and power on. Get the pretty blinky lights at the back. All right, let's get this thing in angle mode.
Flight mode angle.
Perfect. All right, so that will be perfect for indoor flying. This is a very powerful drone, so I've discovered flying it outside already, so this is going to be fun. Here we go. Let's try this. All right, arm it, and here we go. I'm going to take it slow. Try to keep it close to the ground. I say that now, but watch it go right to the ceiling because it sounds like it's got a lot of power. Here we go. Oh, you know what? It's manageable. You can fly it indoors. This is too easy. Just keep your throttle exactly in one spot. Everything's good. Don't push your right joystick too far forward or you'll go too fast. But there we are. There I am. Going over my head. Oh, that was a lot of wind in my face. Second time around. There we go. Try not to hit anything. And like I say, you got to slow down. Pull back on the right joystick if you're going too fast. There we go. Come over me. And then you can pick up speed if you want. And then, yeah. See, second flight is always good. Always good. Always easier. Come lower, over the table, coming back, and land beside me. There we go. Hold that. Oh, and now it's on the ground. All right, so flying this indoors is totally possible. You just put it in angle mode and don't push too much on the right joystick, and you can just hover around your house quite nicely, as you just saw in that video. Now, I did already fly this outdoors. I took it out a day or two ago outdoors, and I put up front here, I put a CADX Peanut camera, not the Insta360 Go, which is a much larger camera. Except the mount I stuck on was not secure enough for the camera, so the camera jiggled all over the place. And unfortunately, when I rewatched the video afterwards and it was flying, I was getting lots of jello, because if you take these cameras and you make them vibrate really fast, you'll get jello in the image. So I got jello in the image. So when you watch this outdoor flight, you're going to see jello, but it's a really good outdoor flight, and this is a really good drone. So ignore the jello and just enjoy the video. There we go. Connect the battery on our quad. I'm going to start off first with a 450 milliamp hour LiPo battery, very small, because I have the Peanut camera up front, and I've put some tape on the bottom here just to block any circuits from being shown in case it lands flat in the snow. I don't want them to get wet. This is all set to go. I'll put my Peanut camera on so it should see my head. Are you working, camera? I see the light blinking. Should be working. Let's just stick you down here. All right, let's find the channel. Tells me on my little screen here it's shooting out the video on raceband 1. All right, we're all set to go. So this little guy's ready to fly. Alright, this is Steve from the future doing a voiceover because when I recorded this flight, my lapel microphone on my jacket was not turned on. I didn't realize that till afterwards, so I'm just going to tell you right now what I was thinking at the time of this video. So the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, this is very quick for such a tiny drone. Now, I wonder how well it would do in freestyle and acro. We're going to try that in a second. Each pass I'm making here, if you notice, I'm getting lower and lower to the ground because that's what a pusher drone does, but it just flies so darn quick that it's like, I'm gonna hit the water. So let's try the little bit of acro. We're gonna do just a roll, just one simple roll. Here's what I like. After the roll, watch how smoothly it just comes down to the ground. Yeah, that is very smooth. A lot of times drones will fall out of the sky or they just lose altitude super fast in not a very good way. This one, nicely done. So now that I'm impressed with the speed, how about we go just a touch slower? So let's bring it back over the stop sign and let's bring it lower to the ground. Slow it down a little bit going down the road because there's no cars coming at the moment. Sorry about the jello, that's the Cat X Peanut not being securely mounted in the front of the drone. What I want to try here is now that we're going slow, let's give it some power and smoothly take it up in the air and bring it back. So watch this, nice and smooth, just a tiny bit of power. Look at how high I am already. It is such a smooth flyer, really good drone, and then bring it back down, nice and smooth, no issues there. Let's come and check me out. Now, what I was saying in this segment of the video is that I thought the battery would be dead by now, or a low battery warning would be coming on the screen, but you can see on the screen there's no low battery warning. We're still flying, the battery is still healthy. That's a tiny little 450 milliamp hour LiPo battery pushing this drone along with that Cat X Peanut camera and mount up front. No issues whatsoever. Now, as you can tell here, I've edited out portions of the video because it was more or less just flying around me, just so I give you different perspectives, but I'm still on the same battery, still flying the same drone, still banging into the same trees. But yeah, it just keeps on flying. It's really, really good. I'm trying to wear the battery down in this video, trying to wear it down so it basically comes to an end and tells me to land. So since that's not happening, how about we just fly to another location? So I'm just going to go over to my neighbor's house next door here and fly around the tree in the front yard and then bring it on back. What I'll do is I'll jump ahead to the portion where I finally get a low battery warning on that little 450 milliamp hour LiPo battery because it flies for a really long time. So there you go, you can see the first low battery I received was at 3 minutes and 24 seconds. I could have flown it for another minute. You can usually do that on a low battery, but I thought, nah, let's bring it back and land it. This is so cool. Okay, I gotta say I'm really impressed with this. This is very impressive for a little guy like this. That's yeah, haven't seen that in quite some time. This is really good. I like this one. All right, so you can see why I love this little guy. So now the next thing to show you is what comes in this box. This tiny little box contains everything you need. Let me show you what comes in the box. This is the box your drone comes in, and these are the specifications of the drone that I used in my video. Opening the box, we see the drone as well as the blue and yellow and black bumpers. The FPV drone is rather small and well constructed. You can see carbon fiber, metal, and plastic. I do have the analog version, so I have the Cat X Ant camera up front. Here you can see the customizable LED lights on the rear and as well the flight controller power distribution board, how they're housed underneath a tiny piece of carbon fiber. And if you're wondering how you attach the bumpers, well, you pick any color you want and then use the double-sided included tape and stick them on. Plenty of spare props are included, as well as a battery strap, spare screws, and a prop direction card, as well as a manual telling you all about the flight controller. And finally, stickers are included so you can customize your drone. Total weight of the drone with bumpers in place and stickers is 86 grams. So my final thoughts on this little guy is that it's really good. It's so good that I'm going to keep it in one of my top FPV drone categories for pusher drones. This is one I can find myself using more often than not because it's a lot of fun to fly indoors and outdoors, and it flies so freaking well. It's so good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put links below to where you can find it on the HGLRC website. If you get the analog version like me and you have some analog goggles, it's not expensive. If you get the digital version, then the price goes up because those chip shortages and everything else for the digital version bumps up the price. And if you don't have a radio, there's so many radios on the market. This is the one I use, and a lot of people always want to use the same thing as me. So this is the Radiomaster Zorro 4-in-1 model. I'll put a link to that below as well. You can go check it out. So with all of that said, I say thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have questions on this drone, just post them below and I'll get back to you with an answer. All right, guys, take care. Catch you in the next video. Bye.